Just recently, we looked back on the first half of the year and talked about the best co-op games so far. And friends, there have been some great co-op games. But 2023 has been hitting different, and despite the fact that we've already started off so strong, there's so much more greatness still to come. Taking a look behind the curtain, Gabe and I compiled 30 co-op games that either have firm release dates, should release this year, claim to release this year, are popping off in early access this year, or have 1.0 plans for this year. It was a lot. But to go over all 30 of these games would certainly end the co-op bros as we know it. So we've done the difficult task of whittling that list down to 10, and we'll drop them in chronological order. Let's look at the best co-op games still coming in 2023.
As this video goes live, Remnant 2 may already be out in the world, if not a day or so away, which is crazy to me. It's hard to believe it's already the end of July and Remnant 2 is finally here. The original Remnant from the Ashes was a real gem and one of our favorite co-op games we've ever reviewed for this channel. And the sequel looks to one-up it in every way possible with better graphics, a new class system, and even more bosses and quest lines than before. The new class system is definitely the thing I'm most excited about here. The first game just started to scratch the surface in that department, and that could really take the co-op play to the next level. Look forward to us streaming Remnant 2 soon as it launches on every platform bar the Switch on July 25th.
Well folks, this is the big one. After years of being patient and not touching the early access, despite our temptation, Baldur's Gate 3 is here in 1.0 and we are so ready for it. Granted, I'm a little bit nervous because of the amount of time this is going to require, but still. It's coming on the 3rd of August to PC and the PS5 on September 6th. You've got 2-player local co-op and 4-player online co-op. You've got tons of customization and the classes and races to choose from. You've got the freedom to craft whatever story you want, go anywhere you want, and make love to whatever you want. I'm not sure I'll be participating in that last part, but to say the boys are going to be enjoying Baldur's Gate 3 is an understatement. If you like tabletop RPGs, or if you're into D&D, or if you're into turn-based combat with your friends, you gotta mark down your calendars for Baldur's Gate 3. It's gonna be a good one.
We got to check out MythForce as part of Steam Next Fest last month, and maybe this sounds a little dramatic, but we were blown away by it. A lot of games nowadays have gimmicky art styles like, oh, it's all hand-drawn or something, and yeah, that's cool, but MythForce, yeah, this game fully commits to its whole Saturday morning cartoon look, and it really makes it stand out among the slew of co-op roguelikes that you can play today. We only got to play 2 out of the 4 classes in online co-op, but both had distinct playstyles and were a ton of fun to play. The game recently received a September 12th release date as it's been in early access for the past year. The full release will bring with it an overhaul of the progression systems, which sounds great because that was the only weak part of the whole roguelike experience for us at least. So if you think MythForce looks cool, make sure you wishlist it and keep an eye out for its release this fall.
Like Remnant 2, it's kind of hard to believe that we're already getting PayDay 3 this September, and on Game Pass no less. We, unfortunately, always have come close to playing this much beloved series, but never quite got there, so expect us to hop into PayDay 3 in earnest. For those who don't know, this is a co-op FPS heist game where you and your squad are robbing banks, and depending on how you decide to run the mission, just about anything can happen. You can choose to go stealthily, or you could throw caution to the wind and duke it out with increasingly tricky foes. It's also coming to PS5 and Steam on the 21st, and again, it's going to have 4-player online co-op.
I'm really glad Endless Dungeon is releasing this year. Hopefully I'm not jinxing it by saying that, but this is an indie title we've had our eye on for a minute now. As part of the long-running Endless series, Endless Dungeon isn't a strategy title like the last games, but rather a co-op roguelike / tower defense game. It'll feature 3-player co-op online with 3 unique classes to choose from. For me, the look is definitely what's drawing me in. The art style and all the particle effects make everything look super dynamic. And a co-op tower defense game obviously sounds really cool. We haven't heard much about this one after it got delayed a couple months ago, so hopefully we hear more leading up to its October 19th release.
Shout out to Gabe for giving me Super Mario Bros. Wonder. That's just a bro being a good bro. I love all Mario games, but have been a little bit disappointed in the 2D offerings as of late, just because it felt like the new Super Mario Bros. Style was growing stale. Super Mario Bros. Wonder immediately stood out to me for fixing that problem with tons of animations and details, making this feel like the evolution I really wanted. As for the co-op, you've got your typical 4-player local co-op, but with a couple of additions in Daisy and Yoshi. Plus, it looks like if you play as Yoshi, you can carry your less than stellar gaming friends on your back. I love to see that because sometimes you gotta play with the youngins, and sometimes they can't quite keep up with your superior gaming skills. This comes out on October 20th, the same day as Spider-Man 2, so be sure to ask for work off now while you're thinking about it. You're welcome.
You might be surprised to see Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora on this list, and honestly, I kinda am too. But we can't help but be excited about this after its gameplay reveal at Ubisoft Forward. Yes, it's pretty much Far Cry set in Pandora, but maybe that isn't a bad thing? Far Cry games have always been a ton of fun in co-op, even if the open worlds aren't particularly inspired. But that's where Avatar could fix that if they really nail all those little details that make the world of the movies as good as it is. And exploring that world in co-op, like flying on banshees and taking down RDA bases together, that sounds pretty good to me. We'll see if that all comes to fruition when Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora launches on December 7th later this year.
Gabe and I have had the privilege to play For the King 2 early a few months back, guessing the developers knew that we had a soft spot for the original indie title. Our takeaway from that experience is what got For the King 2 on this list. It was more of For the King, but just overall better. The change from 3 to 4 players comes with some clever tweaks, and the game as a whole feels more active in between turns, which is good because you're going to be making a lot of decisions. That's a roguelike tabletop gameplay loop, and it feels really good, just as good as before, and I can't wait to get some mates in there to try different builds, different strategies, through multiple runs, and there's going to be multiple campaigns to try, all good things. It's got 4 players, local and online co-op, you love to see it, but as of right now, no release date. If it looks interesting to you, definitely wishlist it on Steam. It's a massive win for all indie developers.
Helldivers 2 was one of the most hype reveals out of Sony's last presentation, and after watching the latest co-op trailer, I'm fully on board the hype train myself. The first game was a top-down tactical twin-stick shooter, but while this one shifts to a third-person perspective, it is still very much a tactical action game. As highlighted in the latest trailer, you get to call in all sorts of artillery and support from above, so you have to coordinate with your squad on what's needed for any given situation. Couple that with deeply customizable loadouts, and I think we have the makings of a great co-op title on our hands. Helldivers 2 doesn't have a firm release date as of yet, but fingers crossed it still makes it this year.
And the last game on this list, finishing off our trifecta of games without release dates, is Warhammer 40k Space Marines 2. Neither of us expected this to be a 3-player co-op title, so when they dropped that in the trailer, I mean, yeah, we are still not over it. We recently dipped our toes into the Warhammer universe for the first time with Darktide, and even though that game has its issues, it made us both super interested in the universe. Transfer that intrigue to what looks to be an over-the-top action movie of carnage and explosions, and you already have our money. Everybody cross your fingers and pray to the Emperor this one comes out this year, as the great yellow sponge once said, "I need it!"
Before we wrap things up, we wanted to give some flowers to 3 games that didn't quite make the cut. Like Andrew said at the top, it was really hard to narrow this down to 10 games, so here's 3 more that deserve to be on your radar. We got the chance to demo Moving Out 2 during Steam Next Fest last month and had a pretty good time with it. Each level was really interesting and put its unique twist on the whole moving gameplay. One level had you wrangling animals in a farm, while my favorite one was a wizard tower level with revolving doors. This one is launching on August 15th for every platform, and it comes with both local and online co-op modes. Another game we got to check out as part of Steam Next Fest is Go Fight Fantastic. This is a 3-player hack and slash featuring both a great soundtrack and a pretty cool art style. Each class was really fun to play, and while we loved that campaign, we also spent a good amount of time with its horde mode. Developers take note, adding a horde mode is always a good idea. No release date yet, but Go Fight Fantastic is slated for release sometime this fall. Lastly, we have Lords of the Fallen. So this game has a lot to prove. The Souls-like genre has only gotten more competitive since the original Lords of the Fallen launch, and yeah, maybe picking a different name would help. Is this a sequel? Is it a reboot? Not really sure myself. So there's some ground to make up, but despite all that, the latest trailer really piqued my interest with its unique art direction and a cool double dimension mechanic. We haven't heard too much on the co-op side of the game, but here's hoping we do sometime this fall as we inch closer to its October 13th release date.
Thanks as always for watching, guys. Hopefully this gets you as hyped as we are to finish out 2023. We genuinely can't remember a year this good, both from a co-op perspective and a single player perspective. So if you want to continue this positivity with us, we'd love it if you subscribed and liked the video, and tuned in for all of our upcoming reviews, impressions, streams, how-tos, and monthlies, and so much more. We got tons of content as this year closes out, so stick around. We'll catch you next time on another episode of the Co-op Bros.